Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning on Regan Says. I'm your host, Regan Adams, with All Things Regan. So let's get into it. So today's topic is be his safe space. Now I know we've seen those memes that say be her peace, be his peace. Going to kind of be talking about that, but not really, but really. So anyway, what made me talk about this are a couple of things. Over the past couple of weeks, I have really been feeling a need to talk about men's, specifically black men's mental health. Uh, I really can't speak on it, but I feel empathetic toward their situations. Um, and I can speak specifically about my husband. So that's where I'm going to kind of lay that at is on my husband. So, when I met my husband over 20 years ago, which sounds crazy, but anyway, I met him over 20 years ago. We've been married for 12 of those 20. That is crazy. But anyway, when I met him, his home life was absolutely nothing like mine. Um, he he's 9 years older than I am, so that's one. So I'm 40. He's 49. He'll be 50 in January. Um, Single parent home for the most part. Father went to prison for a good bit of his life. They did reconnect. They do have a great relationship now, but he was not there for a bit. His mother, a single parent at 16. I mean, he was forced to grow up quickly. So, as a young black boy, having to grow up quickly and provide, things come with that. That kind of can sometimes carry over into your adulthood. So my husband had a lot of pressures of making sure that he was able to take care of himself. And then that's one of the things that I absolutely love about him is that he definitely is a provider. To a fault sometimes, but it's still a good thing. He is a man's man, so I definitely love that about him. But then I had to stop and think, like, besides me, and he does have friends, but who consoles them? Who do they have to talk to when they have hardships? Like, women have events all the time. Like, we got something for everything, and women love to get up and go to whatever event that's going to fix our lives, it's going to fix our marriage, it's going to fix our health, it's going to grow our hair, whatever it is. Women have an event for it, but what do the men have? And that led me to think, like, what men are out there putting events together for other men to come and have a safe space to talk. So I don't know if I'm coming on here to say, hey, men need to start having these things. No. Men need to start having these things because I really think, like, it's important for them to have somebody to talk to and relate to. Like, women have it all the time. And so I know some men are like, well, why don't you have something? But I'm not a man. Like, I can't relate to anything that is going on with any man. What was one of the things I was talking about? Um, so I saw this weekend where I went and I actually did a video about, I saw a woman who was emasculating a man that she was with, which I felt horrible for him because I was like, who does this? But then I look at my marriage and kind of going through that, years of marriage with my husband. One thing I always wanted to create for him was a safe space to talk to me. I know the first few years we kind of had to figure it out because, again, I'm younger than he is. When I met him, I think I was 18, 19. And, here he is 27, 28. So he was quite a bit older than I was and experienced. So I learned kind of as I went. Yeah, my parents were married for over 25 years, but nobody ever sat down and explained to me, all the components of being married, which I wish women would do, but that's a whole nother thing. So, when we got together, I kind of had to learn some things about him, things that were inherited from things he saw, generational things, genetics, like all of that stuff plays a part. And he had feelings. And sometimes I think as women, we think because they're men, like we can say whatever we want to say and they can take it. And that's not true. And when I learned not to hit below the belt when it came to him on things that I knew about him, and we learned how to argue correctly, because there is a correct way to argue without being mean. you know Things started going a lot better. But one thing I always wanted to create, and what he created for me, is a safe space to talk, a safe space to be honest with him about certain things. If I needed to tell him about past childhood hurts, things going on at my job, how I'm feeling emotionally, I wanted to create that in our household for him. One thing I am, which is really weird, like I'm a nurturer to a certain extent, and then I'm not. So it's weird. But for him, like, I never wanted him to hurt. Like I never wanted him to hurt. I always wanted to make sure that I had him covered. And so women, I just want to let you know, if you got a man or your husband, I guess more so husband, because you're not necessarily committed when it's a boyfriend, but still watch your mouth when you're talking to him. Just create that safe space for him to break in front of you, women that are married. To be honest, because men are already taught, especially black men are already taught, that they cannot talk. They cannot share their emotions. It's because I said so, but that's most black folks. Why are you doing this? Because I said so. Or they don't want to answer questions. Or maybe adults couldn't even answer the questions. Maybe there were things hidden, from them in their childhood that they could not talk about. And so you don't want that to be the same thing in your marriage. Like, you don't. Create that safe space. Please don't emasculate your man. If anything, words of affirmation. What I used to do when he was out was I would leave notes on his car. So maybe even if we didn't have an argument, I would still leave some kind of note for him, or tell him, one thing that I've always said, and I've done a video about this, is what is it? How will I know if you don't tell me? And so, sometimes we can feel unappreciated in our marriages, especially if you've been together a very long time. Like, things can get monotonous. I mean, it can. And that's another reason I say you got to have something outside of your husband or your wife. You got to have something outside of them. You cannot live through them. You got to be happy on your own. But things can tend to get monotonous in your house with your husband or your wife. So sometimes you can walk around and not feel appreciated, because we're not going around saying to each other every day, I appreciate you, I thank you because you did X, Y, Z. We're not doing that. And so what I was intentionally doing is making sure I told him, babe, I appreciate you. Babe, you look good today. Because you know what? If I don't tell him that, somebody else is going to tell him. Babe, I like how you provide for me and Kennedy. Babe, you look nice today. Babe, you smell nice today. Babe, I like when you hit me on my tush. That's one thing. Oh, Jesus. Used to burn me up. But then when he quit doing it, I was like, why you not hitting my... But he would always either touch my boob or something when we be out in public. I know this is too much. But when we would be out, he would try to act like he would get real close up on me and try to touch my boob or my butt, just fondle me. And I'd be like, ugh, because I do not like PDA. Not that PDA anyway. Maybe a little peck or something, but not. He would be groping me, but just get real close and be act like can't nobody see you. If you just play it off, nobody can see you. And I hated that. But when he stopped doing it, I was like, well, why he not doing it? So I would sometimes leave a note or tell him, babe, I like when you grope me in public. Just something like that. You have to give him words of affirmation and speak life into him. I know when he was going through, which I really want to talk about, but I kind of want to save that for when he comes home, because that's a whole, that really could be a book about when he was getting ready to go to prison. That's probably I knew I loved him, but when I found out what love was. Love is not the gushy stuff. Love is not the butterflies. the better for worse thing, when that kicked in, I found out in that moment what love was. I think we had to wait. I don't know. It was a few months, but I found out what love really was. Like, my love was tested for him, like that unconditional, where it's like, either you gonna stay or you gonna leave. It was one of those. Like, it was rough, because neither one of us had been in this situation. Our family was being turned upside down. It was a lot going on. We trying to figure out what's what, and then we had some other things going on even outside of this, personal, that we had going on. So I was just like, but I had to still be that safe space. I still had to cover him in prayer. I remember there was one night, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. But I was up almost 24 hours praying for him. I had to cover him. I had to be his safe space. I had to let him break, and, say whatever it was he had to say, and be his peace. I had to be that, even though I needed, somebody. So I was really just leaning on the Lord. Like, I could kind of talk to my friend Cindy, but those were hard times. And I learned what love was, but really in that instant. But I just wanted to encourage you, especially if you're married, like, if you got to go to counseling or have somebody to talk to, women, just like, I like to speak into people's lives anyway. That's just me. But I'm sorry, I keep getting these calls. But especially with Black men, like, they really need to feel like they are appreciated and that they are loved. Because if we don't tell them, like, I'm telling you, they won't know. Like, it was something that my friend told me, something about the trash. Like, if he took the trash out for 29 days, like, it's for 30 days, it's 30 days. He took the trash out for 29. Somebody would tell him, oh, you didn't take it out. If he forgot to take it out that last time, that they would just remember, they would forget all the 29 times he took out the trash, and remember the 30th day that he didn't take it out. And so we don't want to be that one who's that nag, like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and then forget about all the good stuff that he's done. Praise him, because I'm telling you, when I learned this, not trick, but when we got that part together, we were so busy building each other up, and I was, feeding into him and he was feeding to me, or we were speaking into each other's life. It was like an exchange that, like, our marriage was like really good. Like, and I'm not saying it's perfect. We've definitely had hard times prior even to him being incarcerated, but when this is when we started kind of clicking on each cylinder. I'm sorry. So we were just so busy speaking into one another's lives that we wanted to be better for one another. We wanted to grow. Then we started talking about having businesses together, and just, he wanted to be better and I wanted to be better. And that's what happens when you speak into your man's life, and be his peace, and this is one last thing, because I know I'm kind of rambling. And I know some women don't agree with me, but this is just me. I love, not to baby my husband, but I love when he feels good. So I'm telling you, like, women, we always want to be the ones to, why he didn't do this for me, or why he didn't do that for me, or he's supposed to buy me flowers, but what are you doing for him? You need to check that. What are you doing for him? Listen, when we were dating, I was the best girlfriend. I was probably a better girlfriend than a wife. Listen, I would pamper my husband, at every turn. He couldn't miss. He didn't pick up a plate. He didn't nothing. But again, I saw that growing up. My mama did not play with my daddy. She waited on him hand and foot. I did the same for my husband. But I loved doing it. And when I did that, he reciprocated that back to me. So don't always look for what you can get, but look for what you can give. I'm a giver anyway. I love to give, not just financially, but to make sure that I'm putting a smile on somebody's face, especially if you're close to me. If I care anything about you, I want you to feel good. I want you to be okay. And for my husband, listen, he could cannot miss. He cannot miss. And when he comes home, he cannot miss. So I'm just saying, women don't always look to get, but look to give. Look to give, because I'm telling you, when you're giving, he's going to be looking for ways to give back to you. Build him up. Speaking to him. Now, if he ain't doing nothing, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, because I can't speak on that. If he ain't working a job, but he's not doing his part, I'm talking for the men that do their part. Okay? Take care of the household. Take care of the kids. Working hard, trying, getting up every day. Those are the men I'm talking about. The other ones, if he ain't getting up trying to bust no move, I was about to say, I'm not giving him nothing, but he wouldn't be in my house anyway. I'm just saying. I wouldn't be in my house. But anyway, I think that's it. Men, if you're looking at me and you do events, like, I'm so serious. Men need events. Men need safe spaces to talk. What I said that I was going to be doing for next year is incorporating therapists in my events. Having safe spaces for women to talk, mothers to talk, daughters to talk, because we need that. What I found is, even last week I was having an issue, and I was in the car with my friend, and I was kind of venting to her, and then I got a text message, and like a breakthrough came through, and I just broke down, and I was crying. I know she thought I was laughing, but I just broke down, because I'm like, man, we hold on to so much because we go, and sometimes we need to cry, sometimes we need to talk. I have my friend, I have my pastors or my mom sometimes, but sometimes men aren't comfortable in sharing different things with different people. And sometimes women, if they can't come to you, who they talk to? And then a lot of the time, and this is a side note, but if they didn't have their father in their life, they're not going to be too apt to even talk to God sometimes. Because their father, who could be present, how can I believe in somebody who could have been there, and you want me to believe in somebody who I've never seen before? And that's a whole nother subject. So I'm just saying, men, if you do events, you guys need each other. Like, y'all need an outlet. You need somebody to talk to somebody about women, dating, courting. Because even grown men still don't know. Have fathers come in. Like, man, I can see this as being a movement, because I feel like God has really laid on my heart. And it's nothing that I can do. I can't speak to that, but I can pray that happen. A good, safe space for men to come together and talk and have a good time. And it's not just pressure, and it's not just church stuff. Of course, it will be incorporated at some point in the game, but it's needed. It's needed. It's a safe space for men to talk. Okay. So anyway, and women, be their peace. Give them a safe space in your heart, in your lives. And if you're not whole, sometimes you can't even provide that. So I always promote getting yourself together before you even get with the man. And that's a whole nother subject. So anyway, you guys have a blessed rest of the day, peaceful and prosperous. Check out All Things Regan. I have my lunch and a movie on August the 11th. I believe. Check out allthingsregan.com. Regan Says on YouTube. And that is it. If you need anything, let me know. Genesis Coaching Program will be released August the 1st. We'll talk more about that the day before. You guys have a great rest of the day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.